Let me tell you something I've learned after walking this earth for more than 7 decades. You see, when you've been married as long as some of us have, you begin to notice things that younger folks overlook. You start to realize that love doesn't vanish overnight. It doesn't explode or burn out like a firework. It fades slowly, quietly, and more often than not, resentment creeps in through the back door, especially for women. I've sat on porches with old friends, I've listened to women talk at church gatherings, and I've heard their stories at family dinners. There's a truth hiding in plain sight that we men need to talk about. As women age, many of them start to resent their husbands. Not out of malice, not because they stopped loving, but because they got tired. Tired in ways we men often don't see until it's too late. Now, I ain't here to blame or shame anyone. I've made my own mistakes too, but I want to share what I've learned so you don't have to stumble in the dark like so many of us did. There are 7 reasons I've heard over and over again. They don't always show up all at once. Sometimes it's just one. Sometimes it's all of them wrapped together. But they matter. And knowing them could just be the difference between growing old together in peace or sitting across the dinner table in silence. So listen close. The first reason is this. She felt unseen. For years, maybe even decades, she put everyone first. The kids, the bills, the holidays, the doctor's appointments. And through it all, she kept moving, kept giving. But somewhere along the line, she began to feel invisible. Not because she wanted a medal or applause. She just wanted to be noticed, heard. Maybe when she told you about her day and you nodded without listening, or when she wore that new blouse and you didn't say a word. Those moments add up, and over time it chips away at her soul. You fix that by paying attention, really paying attention. Ask her questions, listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart. Now here's the second reason, unequal load. Oh boy, this one stings. Because a lot of men, especially of my generation, thought providing a paycheck was enough. We worked hard, sure, but she worked too. Even if she didn't clock into an office, she was working from sunrise to sundown. Cooking, cleaning, raising babies, managing calendars. She carried the weight of 2, sometimes 3 people. And when the kids left the house, she didn't get a break. No, sir. She still did the laundry, still planned the meals, still kept track of birthdays. That kind of imbalance breeds quiet anger. You want to fix it? Start sharing the weight, not just the chores, but the emotional load too. If something needs doing, do it. Don't wait to be asked. The third reason is emotional neglect. This one is sneaky because it's not loud. It's not about shouting or slamming doors. It's about silence. It's about the times she cried herself to sleep and you didn't notice, or the days she felt lonely even with you sitting right there. Emotional neglect isn't about what you did. It's about what you didn't do, the words you didn't say, the comfort you didn't offer, the connection you didn't nurture. Women are emotional creatures, not because they're weak, but because they feel deeply. They need conversation, affection, reassurance, not just once a year, but regularly. Fixing this one means opening up, saying I love you without a reason, holding her hand even when there's no audience, being emotionally present. Fourth, lack of appreciation. Over the years, everything she did became expected, routine, like clockwork. And we stopped saying thank you, stopped acknowledging the effort. That slow-cooked stew, that perfectly wrapped Christmas gift, that midnight run to the pharmacy. We forgot those weren't obligations. Those were acts of love. When she feels unappreciated, she begins to close off, not out of pettiness, but out of pain. You bring her back by noticing again, by saying thank you, by complimenting her not just on how she looks, but on what she does and who she is. Now here's number 5, loss of shared dreams. Remember when you first got married? You talked about travel, building a life, adventures you'd have once the kids were grown. But then life happened, and slowly those dreams faded. She sacrificed a lot. Maybe she gave up a career. Maybe she stayed in one place so you could follow your path. And when the time came to chase those dreams together, you were too tired, or too set in your ways, or just uninterested. That kind of disappointment runs deep. To fix this, you need to dream again, even if it's something small, a weekend getaway, a new hobby together. something to look forward to as a team. The sixth reason, physical disconnection. I ain't talking about sex alone, though that matters too. I'm talking about the little touches, the kisses, the hugs from behind while she's doing dishes, the way you looked at her across the room. Over time, those things vanish. Life gets busy, bodies change, energy fades. But when touch disappears, so does intimacy. She begins to feel unwanted, undesirable, like a roommate instead of a wife. You bring that back by initiating touch without expectation, by making her feel beautiful, desired, even if it's just holding her hand while watching the news. And finally, number 7, she felt alone in the hard times. Maybe her parents passed away, maybe she had a health scare, maybe she struggled with menopause or anxiety or just the weight of aging, and you were there, physically, but not emotionally. You didn't ask how she was really doing. You didn't sit beside her in the silence. Women need a partner in the storms of life, not just a witness. You fix this by being present, by checking in, by sitting with her pain without trying to fix it. Just being there, fully there. Now I know this ain't easy stuff. We're not taught to talk like this, especially us old-timers. But I'm telling you, the silence is where resentment grows. And if you don't speak now, it will speak for her later, in the form of distance, bitterness, coldness. That's how love dies, not in fire, but in frost. But here's the good news. It's not too late. I've seen couples turn it around at 60, at 70, even 80. You've just got to be willing. Willing to look her in the eyes and say, I see you, I hear you, and I'm here. Willing to admit where you dropped the ball. Willing to start fresh even if your hair's gone gray and your back aches in the morning. Marriage isn't about never making mistakes. It's about choosing each other again. Every day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. So go to her. Don't wait. Say the things you've been holding in. Apologize without excuses. Listen without defensiveness. And love her like she's still the girl you couldn't live without. Because chances are, she still is. She's just tired of feeling like she's doing it alone. I've walked beside too many men who realized too late what they had. Don't be one of them. Don't let pride or routine steal the joy that's still possible. You've got time, not forever, but enough. Enough to heal, enough to grow, enough to make her feel cherished again. So that's what I've learned. From mistakes, from watching others, from listening to the quiet pain in a woman's voice when she thinks no one notices. She doesn't hate you. She's hurting. She's longing for connection. And if you meet her there, in that place of honesty and love, you might just find a deeper bond than you ever imagined. Now go. Don't just nod and forget. Do something. Speak. Touch. Listen. Show up. Because in the end, love isn't about what we said on our wedding day. It's about what we do every day after. Now let's clear some common questions. How can years of silent resentment transform a once loving relationship into one of quiet detachment or even hostility? Let me tell you something that most folks don't learn until it's already too late. Love, real love, starts off soft and golden like morning light. It's warm and full of promise. You wake up beside someone and you feel like the world makes sense. You don't mind their mess, their flaws, the quirks that later start to drive you up the wall. You laugh at things together. You share the small things. A cup of coffee in the morning. A glance across the room that says, I see you. But then life starts piling on its weight. Work, bills, kids, illness, disappointments. And suddenly you're both carrying so much that you forget to reach out. You think, they should know how I feel. But they don't, and you stop saying the little things. Then comes the silence. You'd be surprised how quietly resentment can creep in. It doesn't knock on the door. It doesn't announce itself. It just seeps into the cracks. One unspoken hurt, one forgotten anniversary, one ignored request. And when you don't speak it, when you hold it in, it festers. That's the word. Festers. I've seen it. I've lived it. You think you're doing the right thing by keeping the peace. You think it's not worth the fight. But the truth is, the fight might have saved you. Saying that hurt me or I feel invisible might have built a bridge back to understanding. Instead, you stay silent, and so do they. And that silence builds walls. At first, it's just small things. You don't laugh as much. You don't touch as much. The bed grows a little colder at night, and then you start assuming the worst. They leave their plate in the sink and you think, they don't respect me. Instead of asking, you sigh, you roll your eyes, you turn away, and they notice. Even if they don't say it, they notice, and they start doing the same. That's how it begins. A slow, steady drift, like two boats that once floated side by side, now each caught in their own quiet current. And you know what fuels that drift more than anything? The stories you start telling yourself. They don't care. They're selfish. I'm always the one giving. You build a whole narrative in your head, but it's made of assumptions, not truth, because you never asked, you never talked, you just let it stew. I remember a man who once sat with me on a park bench, been married over 30 years. He looked at the lake, not at me, and said, I think she stopped loving me 20 years ago. I asked if he ever told her that. He shook his head. No point, he said. She wouldn't understand. But I saw it in his eyes, that ache, that longing. He still loved her. But too much time had passed in silence. You see, resentment is like rust on a hinge. Left unchecked, it freezes things in place. You stop opening up. You stop moving toward each other. And that resentment doesn't just stay quiet. It starts leaking into your tone, your body, your glances. You might not yell. You might never raise your voice. But your silence becomes sharp. Your presence feels cold. You're there, but you're not with them. And that kind of detachment can be more painful than any argument. Some people mistake the absence of shouting for peace, but silence can be violent too. It can be the sound of two people giving up, two people too tired, too afraid, or too proud to speak the truth. And the longer you let that silence stretch, the harder it is to cross it. Years can pass, whole decades, and by then, the love that once danced so freely has curled in on itself, hardened, turned brittle. I've watched couples sit in the same room, day after day, and not say a word that mattered. Talk about groceries, complain about the news, but never once say, I miss you, or when did we become strangers? And they'll both think it. You can see it in how they glance at each other when they think the other isn't looking, a flicker of something old and aching. But pride. Oh, pride is a cruel thing. It tells you not to go first. It tells you they should apologize. They should fix it. And so neither of you moves. Sometimes hostility is quieter than people expect. It's not always slamming doors or sharp words. Sometimes it's cold dinners. It's forgetting the things they care about. It's celebrating a birthday with a generic card and no warmth in your eyes. It's a sarcastic comment that lands like a stone. It's sleeping back to back. It's making a life side by side but living separate emotional worlds. That's how love dies. Not with a bang, but with a long, slow sigh. You want to know the truth? The saddest thing isn't that love fades. It's that most of the time, it didn't have to. If people had just spoken up, if they had been brave enough to be vulnerable, to say, that thing you did hurt me, or I miss how we used to be. But we're taught to be strong, to hold it in, and strength, real strength, often looks like softness. It looks like honesty. But we forget that, and so resentment takes root. And love gets buried beneath it. I've learned that it's not the fights that ruin relationships, it's the things left unsaid. It's the slow building of a wall made of swallowed words. Every time you choose silence instead of truth, you add a brick. And after years, there's a whole fortress between you, built by both of you, and then one day you look up and realize you don't even know how to reach them anymore. But I'll tell you this, it's never too late. I've seen people tear down those walls, brick by brick, with trembling hands and tearful words. I've seen people choose each other again after years of distance. But it takes courage. It takes swallowing your pride and saying, I was wrong. Or even harder, I've been hurting and I didn't know how to say it. And it takes both of you. One person can start it, but both have to choose it. So if you're sitting there wondering what happened to the love you once felt, start with this. Speak. Say the thing you've been holding in. even if your voice shakes, even if you don't know how they'll respond, because silence might feel safer. But it's not where love lives. Love lives in truth, in vulnerability, in the messy, uncomfortable, beautiful work of being known. And if you're the one who's been hurt, don't just let it simmer. Speak. Don't wait until the day you look across the room and feel nothing but emptiness. Because that emptiness, it was born from silence, from years of not saying what mattered. Don't let pride keep you from the person you once vowed to walk beside, because in the end, we don't regret the fights. We regret the chances we didn't take to save what was ours. Now, I may be old and my hands may be a little shaky, but I'll tell you plain. Love is worth the trouble. It's worth the awkward conversations. It's worth the discomfort of honesty. Because without that, all you're left with is a shell, a memory of something that used to be beautiful. And life's too short to live beside someone you love and feel like a stranger. Don't let silence steal what could still be saved. Speak, before the quiet becomes permanent. What emotional steps must a husband take to begin repairing the damage caused by years of neglect, silence, or passivity? Ah, son, now that's a question worth asking. What does a man do when he finally wakes up and sees the wreckage his silence and passivity have left behind? I tell you, it takes a mighty shift inside a man to look at the woman he promised his life to and realize he's been present in body but absent in heart. It's easy, too easy, to fall into that slow drift. Work takes over. The kids need things. The bills stack up. You stop saying the sweet things. You stop asking how she feels. You get used to the quiet, and before you know it, years have gone by, and the love that once felt bright and unbreakable now sits buried beneath layers of neglect. The first step, the hardest and most crucial, is to see it, really see it. Not just notice her distant eyes or her cold tone and get defensive. I mean, sit with the realization that your inaction caused pain. That's no easy thing for a man to admit. Our pride flares up quick. We want to say, but I never meant to hurt you. And maybe we didn't. But meaning well doesn't erase the damage. So the first thing a man must do is stand still in that truth. Own it. No excuses, no justifications. Just look in the mirror and say, I failed her. And if that doesn't shake you to your core, then you're not ready to fix it. Once you've faced it, the next thing is to speak it. Go to her, not with flowers or fancy dinners, but with your heart wide open. Sit down, take her hands if she'll let you, and say it straight. I see how I've hurt you. I see the way I've drifted. I see the weight you've carried alone. And then shut your mouth. Don't try to explain it all away. Don't get defensive. Just let her talk. Let her tell you how lonely she's felt. Let her cry if she needs to. Let her be angry. She has every right. You don't get to control that part. Your job is to listen and not run away when it gets hard. That's what passivity stole from you before. You didn't engage when it mattered. Now you have to stand firm and let her unload the pain she's been carrying for far too long. The next step is to stay present. Not for a day or a week, but as long as it takes. You see, men are doers. We want to fix things, patch it up, move on. But healing a wounded heart isn't like fixing a leaky pipe. You can't just tighten a few bolts and call it good. It takes time. It takes showing up every single day with patience and consistency. Some days she might look at you with warmth. Other days she might barely speak. You've got to keep showing up anyway. That's the emotional step so many men skip. They say sorry and expect forgiveness to fall into their lap. But she's been living with this ache for years. Your apology is only the beginning. It's the seed. You've got to water it with action. And let me tell you something else. You've got to get curious again. Ask her questions, not just, how was your day? I mean real questions. What's been on your heart? What do you miss about us? What do you need from me now? And when she answers, listen like her words are gold. Don't listen to respond. Don't listen to fix. Just hear her. Learn her all over again. Because odds are, you stopped really seeing her a long time ago. She's grown. She's changed. And if you want to love her now, you've got to meet her where she is, not where she was 10 years ago. Another thing, And this one's tough for us stubborn old mules. You've got to deal with your own junk, the things that made you passive, the things that made you withdraw, whether it was fear of conflict, how your father treated your mother, or your own belief that feelings are weakness. You've got to face those shadows. Maybe that means talking to someone, a friend, a counselor, a pastor. But if you don't get to the root of why you shut down in the first place, you'll do it again, and you'll lose her for good this time. And don't expect her to hold your hand through your awakening. This ain't about her fixing you, it's about you stepping up. Rebuilding trust means doing the work even when she's too tired to cheer you on. She's been carrying this load alone. She doesn't owe you gratitude for finally picking up your end. You do it because it's the right thing, because love without action is just noise, and she's had enough noise. You also need to bring tenderness back, not just grand gestures. I'm talking about small, quiet things. Make her a cup of tea without her asking. Put your hand on her back when she's cooking. Look her in the eyes when she's talking. Write her a note. Compliment her on something more than just her appearance. Tell her she's strong, that you admire how she's held everything together. Remind her that she's still the woman who makes your heart catch in your chest. Not just once, but again and again. And don't stop. That's the key. Too many men start strong and then fall back into the old ways. But this isn't about a temporary fix. This is a way of living, a way of loving. And it doesn't end when she smiles again. You keep choosing her every morning, every evening, especially on the days when it feels like the gap is too wide. Keep reaching across. Now listen, sometimes the damage runs deep. Sometimes she's been hurt so badly, she's built walls you can't tear down on your own. And you have to be prepared for that. She might not let you in right away, or ever. But you don't do this for a guaranteed result. You do it because she deserved better all along. Because you want to be the man you should have been. That's integrity. That's redemption. And if she does let you in again, if she lets you hold her, love her, laugh with her, then you treat that as sacred because she gave you another chance. And that is no small thing. I've seen men lose everything because they waited too long. And I've seen men rebuild from ashes because they finally opened their hearts. It's never too late to start being who you were meant to be. But you have to start now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now walk into that room, look into her eyes, and begin. Speak, listen, change. Love with intention. And for heaven's sake, don't go quiet again. Not when you've been given the miracle of another chance. Can emotional closeness and deep connection truly be rebuilt late in life? And what does it take, honestly, to make that happen? Now, that is a question most folks don't start asking until their hair's gone silver and the silence in their home feels louder than ever. Can emotional closeness and deep connection really be rebuilt late in life? Let me tell you, not only can it be done, but when it is done, when two people decide to reach across years of distance, resentment, or weariness, it can become something even stronger than what they had in their youth. But let me be honest with you. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't happen overnight. And it sure doesn't come without effort, humility, and a whole lot of courage. I've lived long enough to see plenty of love stories. Some burned bright and died quick. Some dragged on, cold and bitter, out of duty or fear. And then there are the rare ones. The ones where two people, after years of drifting apart, look at each other one morning and say, "I don't want to live like this anymore." That moment right there, that moment is the beginning. The first thing it takes to rebuild emotional closeness late in life is the will to change. Not just a passing thought, not just a maybe someday. It takes a real decision, a deep down, soul level kind of decision to say, "I still choose you." Even when the wrinkles are deeper and the laughter comes slower. Even when the years behind you are more than the ones ahead. But deciding is just the start. The next thing you need is honesty. Not the kind that skims the surface. I mean the kind of honesty that strips you bare. That says, "I've failed you." Or, "I've been lonely for a long time." You've got to be willing to speak the things you buried for decades. The words you swallowed to keep the peace. The hurts you never healed from. That's where the real connection starts. Not in grand romantic gestures, not in expensive trips or second honeymoons, but in the quiet, raw conversations that say, "This is who I really am. Can you still love me?" And when both people bring that honesty to the table, something beautiful begins to happen. The walls start to crack, and light, the kind that warms and heals, starts to filter back in. Now, don't misunderstand me. Those conversations are hard. They stir up old pain. They poke at scars that never closed right. You'll feel exposed. You might even argue. But if you stay in it, if you keep listening even when it stings, you'll come out the other side stronger than before. Listening is half the battle. And I don't mean listening so you can respond. I mean listening like their pain is your own, like their words are the map back to their heart, because they are. You also need to relearn each other. That might sound strange, especially after decades together. But I'll tell you the truth. People change. The woman you married at 25 is not the same woman sitting across from you now. She's grown. She's lived through joys and disappointments that may have changed her shape inside. You have too. So you need to be curious again. Ask questions. What are her fears now? What are her hopes? What brings her peace? What does she regret? And then share yours too. Peel back the layers and let yourselves fall in love again. Not with who you used to be, but with who you are now. One of the most important things it takes is tenderness. That might sound soft to some men, but let me tell you, there's nothing stronger than tenderness. It's what turns walls into bridges. It's what makes a woman feel seen. Start small, a gentle touch, a compliment that comes from the heart, holding her hand in the kitchen while the kettle whistles, noticing her favorite song and turning up the volume just for her. Those little things speak louder than any grand apology. They say, "I see you. You matter to me." And when she feels that, she starts to open up again. And don't forget laughter. Don't let life get so heavy that you forget how to smile with each other. Late in life, you've earned the right to laugh more, to let go of old grudges, to find joy in the simplest things. Take a walk, dance in the living room, watch the sunset and say nothing at all. Just be together. Sometimes rebuilding connection doesn't come from words, but from shared moments where nothing is expected except presence. But above all else, it takes patience. So much patience. You cannot rush healing. You cannot force someone to trust you again just because you've finally shown up, especially if you've been absent emotionally for years. It's going to take time. It's going to take consistent effort, and there will be days when you feel like giving up, days when you wonder if it's too late. But here's the truth. As long as there is breath in your lungs and warmth in your body, it is not too late. I've seen people in their 70s fall back in love. I've seen hands that had grown cold find their way back to each other. But every one of those stories started with a choice, a commitment, and a refusal to settle for distance. Now, don't make the mistake of thinking this is just about romance. Emotional closeness runs deeper than roses and poetry. It's about safety. It's about being able to say, "I'm scared," or "I'm not okay," and knowing the other person won't flinch. It's about being known, fully, without judgment. And that kind of intimacy is worth more than gold, especially late in life when you start to realize how precious time really is. If you want that kind of closeness again, you've got to be brave. Brave enough to admit you want it, brave enough to fight for it, brave enough to love with your whole heart, even if it's been broken before. And if your partner is willing to meet you in that space, if she's willing to walk that road with you, then you've been given a rare and beautiful second chance. Don't waste it. So yes, it can be rebuilt. It absolutely can. But it takes truth. It takes humility. It takes showing up, not just once, but every day, with a heart wide open. And if you do that, if you lean in when every part of you wants to pull away, you might just find that the love waiting on the other side of all that effort is richer, deeper, and more powerful than anything you ever had before. Not in spite of the years, but because of them. And that, my friend, is a love worth growing old for. If you liked today's discussion, don't forget to like the video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to stay updated with every video we release. And yes, don't forget to share your experiences and thoughts in the comments. Every comment is special to us. Your feedback helps us improve further. We'll continue to meet you in every new video on this channel. So until next time, Take care.